Wasn't he in NXT? Oh, wait, no, that was a while ago. Welcome to Wrestling with Egos. Man, what a week. What a week we have had. And yeah, I'm not kidding you guys. I have been bugging these two guys. I'm like, RJ, you have to be on this week. We have to talk. There are two things we are talking about tonight, and that's it. So get ready. It's going to be an hour-long show of a grand total of not one, but two topics. My name is Patrick, and I am joined each and every week by my two best friends in the entire world, the incomparable Brian and the indestructible RJ. I just kind of flowed, and I like that. I can dig that. Gentlemen, how the hell are you? Brian, you first.
A lot has happened. There's a lot to digest from this week in wrestling that was, and I'm here for all of the things. It's so good.
Yes, sir. RJ.
I mean, I'm pretty over the top, phenomenally happy.
Yeah. Now let me ask you a question, since you are uber hardcore AEW, since the World Heavyweight Championship belt is right above your head. Are you over the top just because of the events of Wednesday? Or are you over the top because the events of the entire last 10 days of wrestling?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start in chronological order.
Color man in the business for nothing, folks.
Yeah, damn right. Way to go, Monty. Let's go ahead and just start in chronological order, because that's going to be the easiest thing to do. We had a pay-per-view on Sunday. It may or may not have been me, Brian, and RJ's favorite pay-per-view of the entire freaking year. And son of a gun, it delivered. Three different matches, you can say completely and utterly delivered, and everything else was eh. Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens in that last man standing match, probably one of the best last man standing matches I think we have seen. I'd put it up there with Ciampa Gargano. We'll get to that one in a little bit. Let's get the two big ones out of the way. We got Royal Rumble winners, boys and girls, and one of them we saw coming a mile away. The other one I saw coming a mile away. And actually, I didn't see it coming a mile away, but I did call it.
You saw it coming about a half a mile.
Yeah, half a mile away. I did say that if Edge came out first, he was going wire to wire, and he did. Even though on Friday it announced that he drew number 2, I thought that was funny. We'll get to that in a little bit.
As soon as they flipped them, because they announced Orton as 1 and Edge as 2, and as soon as Edge came out at 1, I was like, there is something fishy about that.
Right. And we'll talk about that, because we had ourselves a little group chat with some of the boys on Sunday, and that was a blast. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and talk the Women's Royal Rumble, and it's Bianca Belair. I think everybody kind of saw this one coming. What we didn't see coming was who was the last woman eliminated. And I think having Bianca Belair win it and Rhea Ripley being the runner-up, I think that tells you a lot about where WWE is probably heading with the future of the women's division. What do you guys think? RJ.
Well, the first thing I have to say is that, I mean, I did kind of see the person that those being the final 2. I thought that was reasonably, and I actually picked Rhea. Like, on this show last week and in our Royal Rumble chat, I thought she was going to win. I thought that it was brilliant of them, because I felt like it was obvious that Rhea Ripley was going to win, and I felt like it was obvious Bianca Belair was going to win. And to make those be the final 2, you really didn't know which way it was going to go.
Right.
I thought it was absolutely perfect, because everybody picked one of those 2 people.
Right.
So I thought that they did it phenomenally. And one of the things I have to mention about the end of the Royal Rumble is one of the things I said in our chat while we were watching the Rumble was death, taxes, and Charlotte Flair in the final 4 of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, she has literally made the final 4 in all 4 Rumbles. No, 3 of the 4, because she was champ in the first one.
Right.
She was one of the two champs when Asuka won the inaugural Royal Rumble. I like the move of going with Bianca. I think that sets up a really great match with Bianca and Sasha. And if we don't go Bianca and Sasha, I don't know what the shit we're doing. That's just all there is to it. It has to be Bianca and Sasha.
I agree.
Because I don't see how fun. I don't see the fun in Bianca Belair versus Asuka. Granted, I don't think that'd be a bad match at all, but I don't see how that would be fun. I am overly excited about the prospect of Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. That's pretty dope for me. Brian, you haven't had a chance. Go.
Just showing respect to everybody, letting them get their, thoughts out. I think I'm going to talk macro and I'm going to talk micro. I'll talk micro first. Bianca is absolutely the right choice. However, I would not have been upset if Rhea Ripley had won it because both women are spectacular in the ring. Both women obviously have talent oozing out of their pores. I do agree with everyone that Bianca versus Sasha Banks makes more sense. I think their styles jibe a little bit more. Asuka, as we all know, wrestles a different style. She's a bit more ground-based, a bit more submission-based. But Bianca and Sasha have a little bit more aerialism, I think.
And a
bit more of an eye-popping match.
Right. Brian, quite simply put, they're just Sasha and Bianca are both simply just more athletic than Asuka. Yeah.
But macro, I think it's smart for the bookers to realize that you have a chance on your hands now to cultivate some more depth in the women's division because we've bemoaned the fact over the past several years that it's been very horsewomen heavy with Sasha, Bayley, Becky, and Charlotte. Now you have a chance to spread it out, and you have there, and we could rattle off all of the names that participated in that Rumble. Shotzi Blackheart comes to mind, for example. That
and this guy over here
and Jillian Hall.
I'm sorry, we're talking about the future here. We're talking about cultivating depth, and you're over here talking about Jillian Hall. You got a receipt coming for that. I just don't know when, and I don't know where, but you have a receipt coming.
I have no doubts for cursing us with that one. Yeah.
She came out, and RJ and I both on cue went, "You son of a bitch, Patrick."
And I found my mute button.
Yeah. So, but it's a smart move because it takes the focus off the horsewomen. And we all love the horsewomen, but it can get kind of recycled and old hat very, very quickly. So now you have some ready-made feuds here. Turn Bianca loose, turn Rhea loose, turn all these young, talented women loose on the women's division. Let's see what they can do with it. I thought it was an expertly booked match. I was surprised that Becky didn't show up, but then again, they're leaving us wanting more. The return for Becky. Maybe they're saving it for Mania when there's people. Maybe they're saving it for down the road. When the timing is right. We've always said how smart Becky is. Maybe the timing just wasn't right. She trolled us a little bit with the curtain. I thought it was a great picture of a curtain.
It was a phenomenal picture that Seth sent to her.
Pardon me?
I said it was a phenomenal picture that Seth sent to her and that she posted on Twitter.
Yeah. I figured that had to be something like that. So I thought it was one of the best booked women's Rumbles I've seen, to be honest with you.
Right.
Well,
I want to piggyback off of something you said. One of the best booked women's Rumbles we've seen. There is something that WWE's been doing since the Rumble was over that I have an issue with, and not for horrible reasons. Because when I start this, it's going to sound horrible. Over the last, since Sunday, I have heard at least like 24 times that Bianca Belair is the first African-American woman to win the Royal Rumble. There's only been 4, guys. So in terms of she's the first African-American woman to win, first off, awesome, because now we don't have to worry about the inherent racism of wrestling from the 1980s and early 90s. Trust me, I watched WCW a lot. Colonel Robert Parker, enough said. But think about this. Asuka was the first Japanese woman to win the Royal Rumble, despite also being the first woman to win the Royal Rumble. Becky Lynch was the first Irish-born and Caucasian to win the Royal Rumble. Charlotte was the first American to win the Royal Rumble. Bianca Belair is the first African-American woman to win the Royal Rumble. She also has the record for being in the Royal Rumble the longest at 58 minutes. Again, there's only been 4 Rumbles.
Right.
So for me, it's not putting the highlight on, her race and everything else. My problem is it's too early in the event's history to be crowning firsts. That's my thing. Okay. Oh my gosh, whatever year, 53, 54 years ago, we had the first Super Bowl. If the media were going ballistic over the fact that the Green Bay Packers were the first team to win the Super Bowl, there's only been 2. They won them both. So that's my beat.
I think what that has a lot to do with, and this is just a thought that popped into my head, and stop me if I go too far afield on this. We love creating factoids out of thin air as a society.
Yes.
We love, just taking the Lovebird, makes fun of this whenever we were watching the local news religiously. We don't anymore because of our work schedules and stuff like that. But an event would happen and they'd say, come back and we talk about the Cleveland connection to all this. And she'd roll her eyes. She's like, why does there always have to be a Cleveland connection to something? So-and-so who knew so-and-so who taught so-and-so, and now they're going up into space or something like that.
Right.
And I get that part of it is bringing the local flair to it, but it's also just kind of creating things out of thin air to have something to talk about.
Right.
So,
I mean, I'd also like to point out that Brian Krieger was also the first clean-shaven man to appear on Wrestling with Egos. Just
man.
Throwing that out there. Patrick Swafford's the first person with a shaved head to appear on Wrestling with Egos. RJ is the man with the largest beard and the longest hair, and he's to appear on Wrestling with Egos.
Congratulations to you both on those accolades.
And you as well.
I cannot claim longest hair on Wrestling with Egos.
Oh yeah, Logan.
Logan.
And Adrian, because she made a cameo on Golfing with Eagles Part D.
Her hair was really long at that point.
So yeah, so both your wife and your oldest. Anything else on the women's side of the Rumble? We got the Jillian Hall thing in. We got Bianca. We got Rhea. Is there anything else we want to discuss for the women's Rumble?
I want to mention that I was a little disappointed at the surprise entrance. Like, there were a couple cool ones, but
I mean,
I don't know.
Truth be told, I think the women. So what?
The match was good. I just
was
disappointed in who was in it.
To me, I think the surprises for the women's Rumble were a lot of more of the same. Tori Wilson was in there again. Alicia Fox.
It was nice to see Victoria.
Loved Victoria. That was
awesome.
That was probably my favorite one. Well, Shotzi Blackheart was probably my favorite one.
Yeah, I love that Shotzi came out in the tank. That was dope. I would have been a little bummed if she would have just run out to the ring. I'm like, I heard her music and I'm like, I'm hoping there's a tank. I'm hoping there's a tank. And then she starts rolling out. I was like, all right, everything is right.
I suppose I will also give some begrudging respect because of her commitment to the character. after all this time to what Billie Kay is doing, because she's really committed to finding some people to hang with, so I get it.
I am starting, and this is coming from the most annoying person on this show. I am starting to appreciate her because of just how brutally annoying she is. I'm starting to find a little bit of a level of appreciation. Like, okay, I get what they're doing with her, and I still don't think they should have split up the Iconics, because the Iconics were freaking gold. But it was, again, I'm finding a different level of appreciation for her. For me, that was good. Definitely liked Victoria, making her. How long has it been since she's been in a WWE ring?
12 years.
Yeah, because she had a hell of a long run with TNA. So
I feel like 07, 08 was when she left.
Maybe.
Could be wrong on that, but
that was still pretty awesome. Anything else on the women before we move to the men? Okay. Men's Rumble. I think we're getting what the makings of a Rocky story, because Edge went in number 1. Edge won it. Great Men's Rumble. I think there was a lot of action in there. There was a lot of suspense, hanging on for dear life on some eliminations, and one really, really damn good feel-good moment like we had last year. This year, it was the return of Christian. Captain Charisma himself returned. That was the last thing I expected. I think the three of us in our group chat with Big Isaac and Frank, shout out boys. That was the last thing I think any of us expected. RJ, you look like you're wanting to say something. Okay. He's not the best color man in the business for nothing, folks. That's twice. But I think, first off, the initial reaction of hearing his music, and you're like, wait. What? And then they cut to Edge, who's draped over the bottom rope with the look on his face like,
just like, clearly didn't know.
Yeah. It was just kind of this look on his face like, well, son of a bitch.
That was, I will give them, as much crap as I talk about WWE, I will give them unbelievable amounts of credit when they make me feel like a little child.
Yes.
And when Edge and Christian were together in that ring, I felt like I was 12.
Yeah. That was awesome. And looking back literally on the last 12 months, to see the return of Edge, and now to see the return of Christian, who sounds like he's a part-timer. Not going to be, that was not just a 1 or 2 off thing. He's going to be in and out, where Edge is going full bore from now until he decides to hang it up. Which I don't think will be any more than 2 years. But to see them in the ring face to face, again, these guys literally grew up together, got into the business together, and now they're standing in the ring after being out of the ring for so long, and then the big hug. And of course, Matt Riddle getting involved. I thought that was just hilarious.
Absolutely.
But that was a great feel-good moment. Loved the subterfuge with Orton being injured, because that was your classic Royal Rumble bait and switch. Get Orton out of there, and then Orton's going to kind of, essentially be hiding under the ring. Right. Created a lot of suspense. Orton hit the RKO out of nowhere right there after Edge threw out. Who did he throw out next to last? Do you guys remember?
Strowman?
No, Strowman was already Rollins.
Rollins.
Yeah.
It was the returning Seth Rollins. Threw out Rollins. Everybody thought it was over. He turns around, eats an RKO. Orton picks him up, runs him to the ropes. Edge hits the brakes, throws him out. Ball game. That was not well done in terms of no, yes. And for me, that was literally my reaction because, as you guys know, I'm a massive Edge mark. I own that one. Moving forward, and this is kind of where we segue into the rest of the show, boys and girls, with the phrase, "Oh, the possibilities." We have, and now, conventional wisdom and every report that you read online is saying that we're going to get Edge and Roman Reigns. I do not have a problem with that. I also do not have a problem with Edge and Drew McIntyre. I also do not have a problem with Edge versus the winner of Finn Balor or Pete Dunne. Because we have literally seen Monday night, Wednesday night, Friday night, Edge show up on those respective shows and get in the face and cut a damn good promo on the guy holding the belt. And all three of them made sense. I thought it was cool as shit. Granted, I still think it's telegraphed because I'm pretty sure we're going to get Roman, but at least this year it's not obvious. RJ, you're kind of huffing and puffing. I think I might have said something that has rubbed you the wrong way. Hit it.
I think Edge versus Roman is a terrible booking decision. I think it's a fantastic wrestling match. Don't get me wrong. As a fan of wrestling, give me Edge versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for a championship. That's phenomenal. I will watch that every day. That match is going to be phenomenal. I don't think either one of them can lose, though. I don't think that Edge cannot win the belt off this. And I don't think that Roman can lose yet. I am a pusher of Roman needs to hold the belt for 600 days with this gimmick. Roman Reigns cannot lose the belt yet. I don't think he can. It's a personal feeling. It's way like a year too early. Right. I don't think Roman should lose the belt yet. And Edge can't lose.
Brian, do you have anything? Go ahead.
If it's Edge and Roman, my money's on Edge winning the belt from Roman, which I think is a terrible booking decision. But if you go the other way with it, with Roman beating Edge, I think that's a terrible booking decision. If you do a non-finish at WrestleMania, let's not even rant mode on about that.
Oh, God. If that happens, you and I both melt YouTube.
I think, oh, God, yes. I think Drew can handle the loss to Edge, especially when he just went over as easily against Goldberg as he did.
Yes.
And I feel like Finn Balor could eat that loss zero problems and get the belt back eventually.
Right.
I don't necessarily see Edge. I mean, Finn Balor and Edge that's a match dreams are made of. But I don't think Edge is going to challenge for the NXT Championship at WrestleMania. I don't think NXT to a point yet, no matter who the champion is, that belt is going to get challenged for by the winner of the Royal Rumble. I don't think that it's there yet.
And I don't think we're gonna get it this year because we literally had it last year with Charlotte and Rhea.
Drew makes more sense to me, but it's going to be Roman. And I'll tell you a different, like they're obviously, I watched the segment, they're telegraphing that it's going to be Roman Reigns. If for no other reason than Edge's home on SmackDown. Like, Edge was always a SmackDown wrestler. It makes sense for Edge to want to challenge for the SmackDown Championship. But I don't think either outcome is good.
Brian, you have anything you want to add? Because I've got something, but I'll let you go first.
I've got plenty, actually.
Go for it.
I'll back up a couple of steps and say that WWE has done a great job of giving themselves a lot of possibilities with how they booked the Men's Rumble.
Yes.
And I'll go back to a point from the Women's Rumble too. I thought, and I didn't really share this as much last week as I really wanted to, but I thought The Fiend was going to have his hands all over the evening.
I did too.
And that didn't really happen, which is smart by WWE because, again, it leaves us wanting more. And that's, you can't give it all away in one night, as it were. It's why I'm such a bad poker player. Oh, I've got a pair of nines all in, realizing that there's probably 35 hands out there on the table that could beat me. You had a little bit with Alexa where some of the screens went out, and then she was unceremoniously dumped over the top rope by Rhea Ripley mid-transformation.
Right.
And then I thought, okay, well, Rhea's next for Alexa Bliss, and the Fiend's going to target her and all that. Well, not necessarily. And then Bray could have shown himself any number of times during the Men's Rumble. When Randy got quote-unquote hurt with the knee, he could have shown up then and kind of like abducted him and, spirited away with him or whatever. Didn't happen. So you've got possibilities there. And then I think they've done a great job with having Edge show up and be respectful to all of the champions right now. I mean, he showed Roman respect, even though Roman might not kayfabe think so because he didn't acknowledge him or whatever. But for my money, the money match is, in fact, Edge versus Finn Balor, because I think Finn Balor beats Pete Dunne at Vengeance Day or whatever the next NXT thing is. It's going to be a banger of a match. And maybe he gives Pete Dunne a return match on an episode of NXT. But, yes, we already had it with Rhea versus Charlotte last year. Edge versus Finn Balor will get the purest wrestling fans' eyes on the product.
Yes.
And, the way he talked to Finn about the NXT championship, I've never had one of those, and the eyes got all big and stuff like that. I mean, of the 3 promos that he cut this week, that was the one I felt the biggest.
I agree.
I'm just going to go out and say it right now that he challenges Finn.
I agree with both of you. Let's just stay with the Edge Finn Balor thing for just a moment. I agree with both of you on one specific thing. I agree with you, Brian, that was the promo I felt the most. RJ, I agree with you that is the last thing that they should do. For 2 reasons. Number one, like I said a minute ago, that's exactly what they did last year. Was they had Charlotte challenge Rhea because look at your champions on Raw and SmackDown. They were both horsewomen at the time. And we've seen that. You're not going to go Finn this year because you went Charlotte Rhea last year. And you can easily go Edge Drew, Edge Roman, and both matches would be great. I will disagree with you, RJ, on one specific thing. Edge can lose this match.
Not clean, he can't.
Oh, exactly. And here's why. Roman would nefariously, there's my big word of the day, Brian, nefariously decimate Edge at WrestleMania, using that as the platform to send Roman into the stratosphere as the biggest bastard in wrestling. And Edge as the uber sympathetic babyface would be the perfect guy to do it. Because let's be honest, there's nobody in WWE that Roman could kick the living crap out of. Nefariously, I might add, because he's not going to beat him straight up. There's going to be involvement. Somebody's going to screw Edge over. You might even get Christian involved in there and have Christian do a heel turn. Man, if that happens, I'm going to start calling myself Nostra Swafford.
I was just sitting here thinking it actually.
But Edge getting annihilated by Roman and then being gone for a month because he's hurt, he's gonna contemplate retirement, and then come back and kick the crap out, beat Roman half to death at, say, SummerSlam. I don't think that is too far, too out of question. But Edge being essentially a sacrificial lamb to the tribal chief at Mania makes perfect sense for Roman. Because, again, that turns Roman Reigns into, and I quote, the biggest bastard in wrestling. And that is something that wrestling, especially WWE, but wrestling as a whole right now, desperately needs, because wrestling in this country does not have a bastard that we can all love and hate. The only, in my opinion, real bastard in all of wrestling is Jay White.
Yep.
So, one thing I do want to add on Edge before we move on to our next the possibilities topic, staying with the possibilities with Edge, there was another interaction with the Rated R Superstar on Wednesday, and that was a face-to-face encounter with one Karrion Kross. And that has me thinking a question that I have for both of you guys. We know that Edge in his retirement, was a massive NXT fan. Became very close friends with the best tag team in the world, FTR. RJ, you always say that that's going to be our gimmick from now to the end of time. Became very good friends with them. Danny Wheeler was the guy that helped Edge and Beth get Edge ready for his comeback last year. So there's a very strong connection to NXT with Edge. And then his wife is now a color commentator. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it that we see Edge in an NXT ring?
Based on what I said, my prediction from earlier, I'll go 8.5.
RJ,
that's how strongly I feel about, the marquee value of Edge and Balor.
RJ, you and I disagree with Brian on Edge and Balor, so I'm curious to think what you think in terms of the likelihood we see Edge in a black and gold ring.
6.5, 6 or 7, 6.5. I can see him wrestling in NXT. I just don't know that he'll challenge for the NXT title at Mania.
I'm with you on that one. It would not surprise me to have Edge, do a couple of, here and there's. I would not surprise me to see him, square off against Cross, to see him square off against Pete Dunne after Dunne loses to Balor. Wouldn't surprise me either one of those. I think those would probably be the two guys that would benefit most from being in the ring with someone like Edge and getting that rub.
You know what I just thought of?
What?
There's a guy in NXT who's lost, I would say, a little bit of shine. Yeah, RJ knows where I'm going with this. Adam Cole would be salivating at the thought of being able to work with Edge.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Shut up and take my money. But so.
Or as RJ's fond of saying, #LFG.
Yeah, LFG.
That out, that's for sure.
But again, with Edge and NXT and his connection there, the possibilities. And then Wednesday happened. So
can I go first on this one? And then I'll just leave you to
let me set the scenario and then I'll turn you loose, Bri. How's that sound?
That's fine.
So RJ messages us Yep. RJ messages us on Wednesday, letting us know that his wife's a little under the weather. He's not going to be watching Dynamite as it happens. No spoilers. Now, I'm at work. I work night shift. So either one of these two guys tell me no spoilers, and I'm going to just start making up crap. And I think it was like, what the heck is Jillian Hall doing on Dynamite?
Yeah, Jillian Hall just jumped Britt Baker or something like that.
Yeah, Jillian Hall just took out took out Britt Baker, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay. And I'm literally at work thinking, okay, what is something far-fetched that I could think of? And I'd gotten off work, got into the car was warming up, and I was pulling up Facebook to check, kind of see what was going on in wrestling and on Twitter while the car was warming up. And I was about to post, oh my God, what the hell is Jay White doing? And then I looked and saw Kenta showed up on Dynamite and he'd go to sleep on Moxley. What? Okay. Real quick, Brian, I'm going to let you go in just a second. I promise. The minute I saw it, all I thought was, oh my God, everything that we've been talking about on the show in terms of, oh man, it would be so amazing if this happened. Oh crap, it's happening. Brian, go.
The thing that I saw through the evening before I turned in for the night on wrestling Twitter was that GIF from The Office where Michael Scott is, it's all happening and everybody is like leaving, knocking over chairs and stuff like that. It's significant, but it's also genius the way they did this. Because let me speculate for a moment, if this were a WWE angle, how it would happen. They'd bring 20 guys, and it would be another invasion redux where, the buildings are getting overrun by all these people and what's going to happen. And oh my God, but it's one guy, again, this is like the third time I've said this tonight, leave them wanting more. Kenta shows up at the very end as the credits are rolling on Dynamite and hits go to sleep on Jon Moxley and stares down the hard camera and lets you know, I'm not here to play around. You're going to realize that I'm coming for you. You're going to realize how serious I am. It's, I dare say, seismic, if you want me to use that adjective, because it's got to put some people on notice. And this was a great night of wrestling, too.
Very much so.
I mean, I'm all for the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker match. I mean, that was great.
Yes.
Wonderful job by friend of show Thunder Rosa. I mean, and wonderful job by Britt, too. I mean, those two have done a great job dancing around each other for months now.
Britt might have wrestled her best match ever.
Yeah. It was great to see them get in the ring and tangle like properly for once, instead of jumping people in a parking garage and stuff like that. But it makes me wonder now, like, how much of this are we going to get? Obviously, that might have just been a one-time thing for now, and then down the road, maybe when Moxley's been rocked to sleep by other things, Kenta shows up again. I mean, that's just my theory about it. And you're not going to get all of them. You're not going to get Okada and White and Kenta and, Tanahashi and all these other people at the same time. That would be stupid. I can see that now, and I can realize that over the course of time, play the long game that we're so fond of. There's years worth of booking here, and it seems to me like we thought this partnership couldn't happen. Well, apparently, on some levels, it is happening. And RJ, I'm sure you can get into the business aspect of it a little more. But I sat there after the episode ended, and I was in shock. And it's been a long time since I've been in shock by something that's happened in wrestling. So I'm all for it. And hashtag LFG.
Yeah. Before I turn you loose, keep in mind, we also have a massive tag team match next week. It's Kenny Omega and KENTA versus Moxley and Lance Archer. And that's going to be...
Well, that's already been announced?
Yes,
Okay.
they announced that an hour after Dynamite went off the air on Wednesday. So we are going to get a KENTA appearance. What I'm loving is the fact that, number one, it looks like we are slowly, inevitably headed toward Bullet Club versus Bullet Club. I don't think it's a merger. I think it's going to be a war. And to your credit, Brian, you mentioned something, instead of it being just this massive invasion, it was one guy. And I didn't think about it until you mentioned it, but one guy showing up, and then maybe there's more, which leads me to believe, and I'm going to wait for RJ to get into frame so he can see what I'm about to do.
I can see you.
Oh, you can? Okay, cool. This, from now, is starting to look a whole lot like this from 1995 or 1996. KENTA may very well be what we're, this generation's Scott Hall. The first of many, perhaps. Oh, the possibilities. That's the first thing I thought when you said KENTA's just one guy. I was like, oh crap, Scott Hall. It could be a slow move toward this, again, inevitable Bullet Club versus Bullet Club. RJ, unleash the beast.
So what you're telling me is that I'm going to get AEW people on New Japan shows. Because what I'm here to say is that is going to happen a lot more often than we are going to get New Japan people in AEW. And I am unbelievably excited about this. You are telling me that we might get somebody like Jungle Boy in the Best of Super Junior tournament this year? You're telling me that I might get Kenny back in the G1? Like, Kenny Omega is already coming up this Wednesday, teaming with an actual member of Bullet Club. Like, after wearing Bullet Club stamped gear at the Impact pay-per-view. So AEW now has working relationship with Impact, New Japan, like hardcore, strong, with Impact, New Japan, and AAA.
Whoa. One more. Something else to realize.
And NWA.
Last Wednesday on Dynamite, you had all in one show. You had contracted wrestlers from AEW, Impact, New Japan, and the NWA all on one show.
Absolutely.
That's never happened before in any promotion ever.
I will take you back to January 1st when they had the first ever the announcement of AEW. It had gotten leaked a couple months before that they had trademarked All Elite Wrestling and that AEW had been trademarked. But the moment that they did the big unveil, the press conference that Jericho blew everybody's minds and showed up, and the announcement of AEW, every single thing was change the world. And that has been Kenny and the Bucks, specifically the Elite. Those three guys, that has been their thing for almost a decade now, is change the world. I'm not in this to make money. I'm not in this to be a draw. I'm not in this to wrestle the best. Like, I want to wrestle the best matches, but it's because I want to change the wrestling world. They have been all about change the world. The Elite shirt used to say change the world on the back. The cup for the Elite says we rule the world on it. Like, they've always been about change the world. That's their thing. It always has been. This is as much change the world as you are going to get in the world of professional wrestling. They are, and I read this online, and I wish I could give credit to where I read it, but I do not remember the website that I saw it on. AEW is rebuilding previously burnt bridges in the professional wrestling business where people can work with each other again on an actual main high level of bringing in champions to different promotions. And I book it right now, January 4th or January 5th. Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 or Wrestle Kingdom Night 2, the AEW World Championship will be defended. The Ring of Honor World Championship used to get defended at Wrestle Kingdom all the time. That's going to happen. Like, for me personally, the first thing I think of when I see Kenta show up on Dynamite is that I'm going to get a lot more of guys in AEW that deserve more time in the ring to show the world what they have in New Japan tournaments. And that's phenomenal. Like, Lance Archer is going to get to go back and do stuff with New Japan now. We already have Moxley there. He's already the United States champion. There's a name I'm going to mention right now that a lot of people probably don't know. And there will be some people that do. Harold Mage was the president of New Japan for a while. Yes. I learned in the Young Bucks book that I have, finished a while ago, that the way that Kenny and the Bucks were treated on their way out left a really, really terrible taste in all of their mouths. They felt unbelievably disrespected, and the way that New Japan handled their leaving was completely different than the way that they handled the leaving of AJ and the Good Brothers when they left.
And Nakamura.
Nakamura is different. Nakamura deserved to be. They should have put a poster of him in every freaking show they do. But specifically, AJ and the Good Brothers leaving, they got their goodbye at. They do New Year's Dash the night after Wrestle Kingdom. Right. They got their goodbye at New Year's Dash. They got to say goodbye to the fans, do one final show. They all got the respect that New Japan is known for. In the Young Bucks book, they mentioned that they were, as soon as they sat down and had a conversation with New Japan management, and they said, we are more than willing to stay here and still work shows for you. We've put it in our contract that we're allowed to work here. New Japan took it upon themselves to immediately pull Kenny and the Bucks from every show that they were on except for Wrestle Kingdom, and booked Kenny to lose to Tanahashi, to lose the championship at Wrestle Kingdom, and pulled them off New Year's Dash. Completely pulled them from every show after Wrestle Kingdom, even though they had more shows left. They were completely disrespected by that company. Since that happened, the only major change in New Japan management was Harold Mage, who has left. He was making some terrible decisions that took away from the entertainment value of New Japan, took a lot of the things that people like me watch it for. He took away or started to phase out or change, and it was getting very frustrating to understand that this company that has been so entertaining and still has so much potential is being driven into the ground by this guy, and he left. His name was one of the first names I thought of after Dynamite went off the air, and I had all these things rolling around in my head, as you can imagine. Like, this has to do there has to be Harold Mage left, and Bucks or Kenny reached out to Gato or something, or somebody else, Tiger Hattori. Like, Harold Mage leaving New Japan is the reason that this happened, and I feel like people need to know that.
No, I'll piggyback off that. I guarantee you, now you know a lot more about New Japan than I do, but I guarantee you there is one other name that has their hand in so much of this, and his name is Don Kallus. I guarantee you Don Kallus helped in some way, shape, or form repair those burned bridges.
Probably.
Because he has a history of doing that. He has been one of wrestling's great peacemakers. And I let's just put it this way. Don Callis starts showing up to do commentary for Kenny Omega matches during the number one contenders tournament. He starts showing up, and then within 2 months, Kenta shows up on New Japan. After the Good Brothers have already showed up on, Kenta shows up on AEW. After the Good Brothers have already shown up on AEW. After Private Party and Kenny Omega have shown up on Impact.
Private Party's the number one contenders on Impact.
Right.
One thing I got to mention that a lot of people probably don't realize is that, how long ago was it? A little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, Moxley showed up in Japan and beat up Kenta.
Right.
So I'm sure there's a bunch of people that don't know that happened, but that was a regular thing. Like, Moxley works there. Like, nobody, like, it was a surprise. Nobody saw it coming, but it wasn't Kenta showing up on Dynamite to give him a receipt. Like,
yeah, that was the last thing anybody thought.
No point did I think that's what was going to happen.
The dude comes out in the hoodie and everything else, and I'm like, who the shit is this? And I'm thinking, okay, it's, honestly, truly, I'm gonna throw up saying this. Build wise, height wise, you know who I thought it was? Ricky Starks. I'm like, oh, and because I saw, I saw a slender guy, and I'm like, if this is Ricky Starks beating up Jon Moxley, I am never watching AEW. Oh my God, it's Kenta.
Yeah.
Wait, real quick. I want to point out something that we haven't discussed yet, because it is, in my opinion, and for the entire run of Bullet Club, ever since it was Prince Devitt and Guns and Gallows and Tamatanga and the Bucks and Bad Luck Fale, as like the initial guys. I want to point out something, and RJ had it on his face a little while ago. That Bullet Club logo has been one of the most famous t-shirts in the history of professional wrestling. That, Austin 316, NWO. Those are the three that and DX. Those are the 4 t-shirts that when you look at wrestling in terms of like the GOAT t-shirts, that's it. And the Bullet Club logo has always evolved, and they've always changed it up a little bit so each guy could have their own Bullet Club shirt, which has always been really cool about that logo. Kenta had his own for Dynamite, the Go to Sleep Club, which had the silhouette of the state of Florida in it. That's not accidental, boys and girls.
He's had that shirt for a very long time.
Say what?
He's had that shirt for a very long time.
With Florida in it?
Absolutely.
Really?
That Orlando, Florida shirt is not new. He lives in Orlando.
I knew he lived in Orlando, but I didn't know that had been around for a while.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh. Inside information.
It's not for, you can't get it on Pro Wrestling Tees, but it's on the New Japan website.
Okay, cool. But still, he wore that. I don't think it's a coincidence. Kenta, I don't think Kenta's going to be making just one more appearance and then taking it back to Japan.
Right.
Things. Yeah, I know AEW had this, had their free TV pay-per-view of this not too long ago on Dynamite, but I think winter's coming. Again, the possibilities.
Oh.
I mean, my God, just, and we could spend the rest of this show, because we've already been going an hour and change on this. I'm kind of looking at my time real quick. Yeah, 54 minutes. We could continue going with this ad nauseum, going, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have this and this? And wouldn't it be cool to have this? And I got to throw one more out there. If we end up having a Bullet Club war, you better give me Guns and Gallows versus God.
Yeah.
You better give me that.
Kenny Omega versus Jay White is a match I never got. I was always
Give me that. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see that, but to me, the significance of God and the Good Brothers means more, because that's 3 of the core 4.
right, for sure. Yeah. One thing that I thought yesterday was that the way that New Japan works their working relationship is that a lot of times, just based on people who I've seen work there and stuff in the past, a lot of times they'll have a bit of a working relationship with companies who have working relationships with companies that New Japan works with. Like New Japan works with AEW, and AEW works with Impact. So New Japan might be open to working with Impact a little bit. You understand what I'm saying? They've done things like in the past. Now, with that said, New Japan has always, Gato is still really angry about the way that TNA treated Okada when he was a young boy and went on excursion there and got treated like absolute garbage. But nobody that worked there then works there now. The ownership's different. The management's different. With Don Kallus and management and Impact, it could happen. So I had a thought last night that we could see, there is a legitimate possibility that at a Wrestle Kingdom, we could see the AAA Championship defended, the Impact Wrestling Championship defended, the AEW Championship defended, and the IWGP Heavyweight Championship defended on the same show. And did I say NWA and NWA? It's it's bonkers to me.
Yeah. And we talked about this when when Kenny Omega first made it known that he was going to go visit Impact, and that working relationship opened up. We talked about this. What if New Japan got involved? Because Don Callis could have very well mended some fences, which it looks like he has. I can't remember which one of us said it. Might have been Brian, might have been me. This is the last thing WWE needs to have happen right now, because everybody has been so critical of WWE's creative avenues that they have been taking as of late. And now literally every major promotion in the world that's not WWE is doing business with each other.
I feel like I said something to that effect. Yeah. And it's to borrow a line from Sam Smith, the writing's on the wall.
Yeah. Oh, here's something else to think about. In our global atmosphere that we have, globally, we are starting to roll out a COVID-19 vaccine. Think about, let's play a little bit of the long game. We get the vaccine. It's effective, which most scientists think it's going to be. We get the vaccine. It's effective. People start coming back to wrestling shows. I'm sorry, but that group, that Axis of Awesome. That's what we're going to start calling it. The Axis of Awesome between New Japan, Impact, and AEW. They're not going to waste any freaking time. And because literally they have the wrestling equivalent of the Infinity Gauntlet. And they're going to put on one massive freaking show and go, hey, Vince, catch. And just lob a big freaking grenade. And when you look at like global timelines and what like the World Health Organization is saying is the probable scenario for a massive relief of COVID, it lines up with a certain New Japan pay-per-view that'll be first part of next year. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. I think the only person in the entire world that hopes I'm wrong is Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Because that's not going to... Tokyo Dome seats, what, 60, 70?
70, yeah.
Okay. And they run that bad boy 2 nights. Yeah, that'll sell out both nights. Hell, you could probably run 3 nights and sell that bad boy out too. My God. Oh, the possibilities.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We could do a whole show.
Say what?
We could do a whole show on the possibilities.
Oh my God. Yeah, we could keep going. But yeah, and that's pretty much, and kind of circling back to WWE, we're starting to see some potential the possibility moments out of some of the stuff coming out of the Royal Rumble, which looks pretty cool as well. This is why this time of year is the best time to be a wrestling fan, because everything happens in the first quarter of the year, because Wrestle Kingdom, Royal Rumble, Road to WrestleMania, and while WWE is on the road to WrestleMania, every other promotion is trying to match their momentum because all eyes are always on WWE heading into WrestleMania. So everybody raises their game around this time of year. Thank you very much. This could be fun. Gentlemen, before we get out of here, I have a small piece of trivia for you that I heard on a podcast earlier this week, and I wanted to share with you guys. Has nothing to do with anything that we have discussed so far tonight. Well, yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with what we've discussed so far tonight. So, as most people know, the most highly decorated professional wrestler in WWE history, winning the most collective championships, is Edge. 30 some odd titles. My trivia question for you: who is the most highly decorated wrestler in the history of WCW?
All right, I'll go first because I'm probably going to be wrong.
Okay.
I'm going to go Sting.
No. Sting does apply to the hint that I would have given, which is, by the way, he won every title. Well, all 4 titles that he was eligible for, was not eligible for the Cruiserweight title. So 1 tag, 1 TV, 1 US, 1 world.
It's not Luger, is it?
Nope.
Can I guess again?
One more guess.
Booker T, sucker.
Yes. 21 titles.
As soon as you said tag and TV, I always forget about. I don't know why I always forget about the TV championship, but
I mean, the TV title was always awesome in WCW. I love that thing. But yeah, I heard that on the Eric Bischoff's podcast because the discussion was Harlem Heat from a couple of weeks ago. So, well, from earlier this week, and that was something that Conrad Thompson had mentioned, was that Booker had won 21 championships collectively in WCW, 10 of those being tag titles with Stevie Ray.
Right.
I'd also like to point out that RJ's favorite wrestling journalist, Dave Meltzer, also said that Stevie Ray had no business being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, despite Harlem Heat being one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
Oh, Dave, go fix your
You can
tie.
make an argument both ways.
Say what?
You can make an argument both ways.
Right, but, you know,
I mean,
in a tag...
If it's Harlem Heat that's going in, I mean, it's...
Right.
Right.
Okay. If the Rockers, obviously that's not going to happen, but if the Rockers are going into the Hall of Fame, you got to induct Marty Jannetty.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how it is. I mean, you can't, you know, the only time you can cherry pick something like that is when there's multiple members, like for example, the NWO and the Four Horsemen.
Right.
They didn't induct, when they inducted the Horsemen, they didn't induct Ole.
Right.
They had to be 4 guys along with Dylan, so that 4th guy ended up being Wyndham.
Speaking of induction, a couple of minutes ago, they announced the headline marquee member of this year's NFL Hall of Fame class.
Let me take a wild guess. PFM.
Yes.
Omaha.
Omaha himself.
And Aaron Rodgers won MVP.
I can dig that. And I'd also like to point out Aaron Rodgers, that is Aaron Rodgers' second MVP award of the year, also winning the MVP award for fantasy football with egos, being a part of being the team captain and the quarterback of the of this year's champions Underpants Calamity, owned and operated by me. I'd like to point out that despite valiant efforts by both of these gentlemen, they both came up short, including a stellar restaurant quality ass whooping in the finals received by one Mr. Brian Kriego.
You know what? That's fine, because I do have back
Yes,
championships to my credit in fantasy football with egos. So
yes, you do. You won. I broke the dynasty. I'd also like to point out this is also my first championship since the league started in 2009.
Ladies, if you're gonna say that, I have to say this. Both of them have won a championship. I have not. I have been in the league for 2 seasons.
Right. You know, I wasn't going to point out that, you know, in any of that, I was not going to give you any kind of crap about that. Also, can't really give you crap about the fact that you finished really low down the standings this year because two of your keepers were injured in the first 3 weeks of the season.
And those 2 people are Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey.
Yes. For the record, we have 3 keepers in our league every year. My 3 keepers this year may or may not have been Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Derrick Henry. And Aaron Rodgers I picked up in the 5th round because everybody else had quarterbacks.
Yeah, I had Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey, and then my 3rd keeper isn't really near the top of his position. It's a personal keeper. I'm not ever letting Baker go ever.
Right. So, you know, that's kind of how it is, you know. But yeah. So, congrats to Aaron Rodgers out of Cal. That was, you know, proud of him for picking up his second MVP award of the year. Awesome. Proud of you, man. Go Underpants. For the record, I named my team Underpants Calamity because I had a history of making the playoffs and then crapping my pants in the first round. Literally 3 out of the last 4 seasons, I went in as the number 1 seed and then got absolutely demolished in the first round of the playoffs. Hence the name.
I think that this year's, now hear me out. Think about from the beginning of the season to the end of their season. I think that the 2020 Pittsburgh Steelers redefined underpants calamity this season.
Oh my gosh, yes. We rarely talk like real sports on this show. I have not seen a collapse in professional sports that bad, and I can't remember what year it was. It was before 2010 because I was still living. I was at Jacksonville State when it happened. The Mets had like a 10-game lead in the NL East going into September and didn't even win the wild card. I'll never forget that. Mainly because I'm a Braves fan and the Mets freaking suck.
Oh, I can't agree with you.
You're still pissed off about 1995.
Part of my I'm not so much. Part of my parental unit is a Mets fan who grew up in New York.
I'll pray for him. Just like I pray for Todd Bobbinreese every day because he's a Phillies fan and he needs to cleanse his soul.
What's up, Todd?
What's up, Todd? Love you. Need to hit you up for some Penn State tickets next year. Auburn's on the road. Hopefully it's not a whiteout. Because I'll be the one guy at that stadium in orange. You won't be able to. You won't miss me.
If commitments and coronavirus allow, I'm thinking about going to the Georgia-Kentucky game in Kentucky.
Oh, it's a Commonwealth this year. Nice.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Well, we're going to stop talking about football. And, well, actually, no, we're not going to stop talking about football because there's one last piece of business we got to do. Because, yeah, Royal Rumble was last week, but the Sunday after the Rumble is this little thing called the Super Bowl. It's the Patriots. It's the Southern version of the Patriots, also known as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bucs are the first team in history to be the home team at the Super Bowl in their own stadium, which is kind of cool. Also, may or may not be the host of WrestleMania this year, which is, again, pretty awesome. Somebody's jumping off that pirate ship this year, probably Kevin Owens.
Before you ask for predictions, I guess earlier today there was some kind of a charity beach volleyball game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Doug Flutie is your new 24/7 champion.
No, he's not.
He lost it back. He lost it back to R-Truth.
Okay.
Yeah. Flutie had it for like 5 minutes.
Okay. I saw the pictures and I just felt that I had to share.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sorry. There have been worse people to have the 24/7 championship than Doug Flutie. So yeah. I'm more okay with that than some of the other people that have held it. So I ask you both this. Who you got? Chiefs, Bucks.
I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs by the score of 38-31.
RJ.
Hey, Brian, you had a prop that you were showing earlier. Would you mind holding it up? That is a GOAT, ladies and gentlemen. There is not a person or team on this planet that will make me bet against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 35-30 or 34-31.
Well, I'm more of a believer in Tom Brady this year than I ever have been because I always would say Tom Brady's a product of that system. Well, that theory got proven wrong this year because that system and Cam Newton didn't do squat. So I'm not gonna bet against Pat Mahomes. He has been Mr. Wizard on way too many instances over the last 2 years. So I'm going Chiefs 42-35. Travis Kelce wins the MVP.
I would love to see a kid from Cleveland Heights win the NFL Super Bowl MVP.
Isn't that the part of Cleveland you're in?
I'm not in Heights, no.
Okay.
I have lived in Cleveland Heights in the past, but I am no.
Oh, I thought you were currently in Cleveland Heights.
No.
Okay, never mind. Too many different parts of Cleveland.
Yes.
Yes, I grew up in Alabama, and both currently live in Ohio in a town of about 30,000 people. So the population hasn't changed, just the weather. So before we get out of here, boys, as always, any final thoughts?
Yes, I would like to spring something on both of you. It's been a long time since we've done something like this. But since we are on the road to WrestleMania and it's officially WrestleMania season, as I've been fond of saying lately, I would like to give you gentlemen a homework assignment. Yes.
What?
And for the first time ever in the history of Wrestling with Egos,
it's the King of the Road match.
That's not true. It's not the first time ever. It is a trilogy of matches. Trust me, you will enjoy this trilogy. Your homework assignment is the trilogy of matches that Batista and Triple H had.
WrestleMania 21, and then the 2 pay-per-views afterwards.
Backlash and Judgment Day. I forgot which WrestleMania it was. I think you might be right. I think it is 21.
It was 21.
Okay.
Can I watch a Jillian Hall concert instead?
You're kidding, right?
I cannot stand Batista. Like high levels of Goldberg hate. As a person, he's phenomenal. And I have more respect for him after I've found out that he had asthma. Because as a person who has really, really bad asthma, I know I couldn't be a professional wrestler because of that. But I don't know that I was ever once entertained by the man.
I understand. I'll ask you this one. I'll ask you these 3 times, as it were, to indulge me on this. And I'm really not doing it as a punishment. I really am not. But I just think it's kind of going to get us locked into what we hope kind of matches come out of WrestleMania. And
Agreed.
I think it's some of the best story work Batista's ever done, quite honestly.
I cannot disagree with that. And the build up all three matches was great.
I was at a Batista heel turn actually once.
Oh, nice.
Bragging the first bragging rights pay-per-view in Pittsburgh when he turned on Rey Mysterio after the Fatal 4-Way match with him.
Oh, nice. That was a great heel turn too.
It was a phenomenal heel turn, absolutely.
Oh yeah, because he was adored then, and then hell, you beat up Rey Mysterio, you're a jackass anyway. So I mean, no matter who it is. But hey, kind of give you guys an idea of some things we've got in the works leading up to WrestleMania. Brian's informed us that on the way to WrestleMania, RJ and I are gonna be locked in a little bit of a trivia battle.
This is true. Brian's
gonna be the God rest his soul, the Alex Trebek of Wrestling with Egos for a night. Yes, very much so. And RJ and I are going to be the contestants. We do not have to phrase the answer in the form of a question, though, thank God. Because generally, when it comes to wrestling, RJ and I have one question. Why?
Usually, yeah.
Why is Batista? Who is Gamora?
Why did that happen?
Yeah. When is Gamora?
Idea.
Yeah. We've got that. We're gonna start. We got a couple of watch-alongs coming your way. Kind of like how we had the Royal Rumble not too long ago, and some of those watch-alongs gonna be a little painful because we're gonna start watching some of wrestling's crappiest matches, kind of like RJ and I did with the infamous Kennel from Hell match. This time, though, when we watch them, we're gonna make fun of them.
And since I shelled out $8.64 for this bad boy right here, there's going to be some more goat conversations in the offing. I thought it'd be nice to have a little prop. So I have a cute little goat here. So the next time we have a goat discussion down the road a piece, this little gal will be making an appearance. Trust me on that.
And I'm sure before WrestleMania we will come up with one because we're 60, 70 days away from WrestleMania and there's probably going to be a little bit of a lull. So
Too Cold Scorpio. Book it. Just kidding.
What the hell? Sadly enough, of all people that ever wrestled in ECW, that wouldn't be the worst.
That's true.
Oh, it would not.
No, it would not. Whew. Dang. ECW was fun, but man, there was some reaches on that one. Man. Anything else you guys want to add?
I'm good.
Brian?
I'm good.
All right.
I can see by the clock on the wall there's a fly, so that must mean it's time to get out of here.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to my wife. It was her birthday.
Yes. There's a reason. There's a birthday card hanging above RJ's head.
Feliz cumpleaños aquí. Feliz cumpleaños aquí.
Yep. Where's the sombrero, the whipped cream, and the shot of tequila?
I have some props. I just couldn't bring all of those to the.
It's in the bedroom. We'll get there later.
Yeah. I've been really trying, baby. On that note, we're gonna get the hell out of here. Happy birthday, Adrian. We love you very much. Yep, it's time to roll. Adrian got her nice laugh of the evening. When she sees this, she'll realize how much of an idiot I am, which she realizes that every week. But you know what? Just like Brian's wife and just like my wife, they love me. Thank God for that. Because if they didn't, if Adrian and the Lovebird didn't love me, I wouldn't be able to hang out with Brian and RJ. So, love you guys. So, for RJ and the birthday girl, and for Brian and the Lovebird, and for Hello Nurse upstairs, sound asleep. My name is Patrick. That's RJ. That's Brian. This has been Wrestling with Egos. May all your days be as awesome as Sunday and Wednesday were. And always and forever, remember, this is why we love wrestling. We'll see you next week.